I'm Steve. Welcome back, listeners, to the finest phototainment in the world. That's right, you're listening to another episode of the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast, an irreverent look at photography. This podcast, like aspirin, will help you recover from your wedding hangover. And if you were wondering what's going on right now, why we missed the sweet sound of Dustin saying hi. I'm Dustin.
Steve, I'm right here. This is Dustin. I'm here. It's Dustin. Hi.
Dustin isn't with us this week. He went down to Mexico. He got caught up by a cartel down there. And in his stead this week, I was able to get Ulices. The cartel did say that they're holding him ransom and that we need to get at least 5 more people supporting us on the Patreon before they will let him go.
I think we can make that happen. Come on, guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. So Ulices Del Toro, who was on, what was it, last December? It's been too long, Ulices. Ulices, who I visited like 2 weeks ago. We talked about it last week on the podcast. For those of you on the Patreon, we talked a lot more about it as well. And Ulices has his own podcast, the Wedding Photo Podcast, which is, I would say maybe like a tad bit more educational than this one. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, but if we do get people to sign on to the Patreon, they're not gonna have that impression of me.
Oh, don't give away everything about the Patreon. Whoa. Ulices, so I had a story I was gonna tell Dustin until he got kidnapped and, held ransom.
Yeah.
It's something that happened to me just today.
Okay.
Do you want to hear this story?
I do want to hear it.
Okay, so today I was playing with my daughter. She's 3 years old. Her name's Nora. She likes to do this thing where she stands on my chest, puts one hand high in the air and the other hand on her hip, and then she yells out, "Superhero," right? But today she wasn't doing that. She was feeding me plastic fruit and vegetables because she has like her own kitchen set, and so she was pretending to make food and then feed the food to me, but she said I had to lay down to eat the food, and so she's like giving me grapes, she's giving me potatoes, and then the next thing I know, I'm laying down and she just jumps up onto me, does the whole one arm in the air, one arm on the hip, yells out "Superhero," and then what she typically does after that is she jumps straight down onto my chest with both knees real hard. And what I didn't realize was she wasn't just pointing one finger in the air this time. She was actually holding something in her hand. And that something she was holding in her hand was an eggplant, a plastic eggplant / aubergine, And so she jumps down onto my chest, hits real hard, and my mouth goes open. I'm gasping because, can't get any air. And she takes the eggplant and jams it into my mouth. And when she does that, she says, "Eat it, Daddy."
Oh, isn't that funny how the world just comes full circle sometimes?
I never thought my own child, my sweet baby Nora, would be jamming a plastic eggplant down my mouth and saying, "Eat it, Daddy."
Well, all those episodes of you talking about how you want people to send you eggplant emojis, you just got the real thing.
Nora took it to heart. So I did, she jammed it like real far. It like went back all the way to the back of my throat. And I did gag a little bit, just a little bit. And I told Jen about this. And I made the mistake then of saying, now I understand why, people don't like to do blowjobs. And Jen sent me back a GIF. And it just said, "I was on the block for like 3 seconds. So yeah, I know how it feels." It's like, okay, I deserve that.
Oh my God, dude. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, Ulices, we got a big show today. Big show.
So you have to post a picture of the aubergine in your mouth or it didn't happen.
There's no picture of that. There's just, I gagged, it came right back out, and then I spent like 5 minutes gasping for air / laughing really, really, really hard. I was mostly gasping for air because I was laughing so hard, and it had nothing to do with the choking part of it. It was just so funny. You don't expect that out of your sweet baby daughter, She basically told me to eat a dick
Yep.
and then shoved a fake one down my throat. Ah.
I can't wait till she's old enough for you to tell her that story.
She'll probably be, by that time, she'll be like, I'm sorry, we don't use aubergines and eggplants to. We're so past that in our day and age. I can't believe that you people, when you first got your mobile devices, were even doing that still. They won't call them cell phones anymore because nobody makes phone calls. It's going out.
Yeah, it'll be some weird projected screen coming out of their hand or something.
Yeah, no, we're just all going to get screens implanted into our wrists, and that's how we're going to do things in the future. Ulices, we should do follow-up next, but I heard the sweet sounds of you cracking open a beer. What are you drinking tonight? Is it one thing we didn't mention, Dustin and I, last week on the regular episode or on the Patreon episode? When I was at Ulices' place, I bought a bunch of beers to share with Ulices. Then we did not have time to drink those beers, and I wasn't going to bring beers with me to the airport because you can't fly with beers, and all I had was carry-on luggage. I didn't bring like check bags or anything, so I just left all the beers with Ulices. And then Ulices did me the great favor of checking into all those beers as he was drinking them that I had bought to share with him, and he was now drinking without me. Checking into them on Untapped and tagging me to every single one of the check-ins. It was delightful.
Yeah. Well, technically, you did share the beers with me.
I did share the beers with you. What was your favorite beer that you, I don't want to say stole from me, but stole from me?
You know what? I drank them all at the same time, so I don't remember any of them.
You popped all the beers open, poured them into one giant bucket, and then just drank the bucket?
Yeah, basically, man. Hang on. Let me see. I'll tell you which one. I don't remember the names of them, but I'll look them up right now.
Well, I'm glad that, I was able to pick out some real great beers that just stuck with you for a very long time. I was like, I'm going to find beers from California Ulices has never tried before, I've never tried before, that are going to blow his mind because I just assume I'm that great at picking out beers. Apparently not. Apparently not so much.
You know what? I just drink too much, so they all get lost. You know what I mean?
Is this like every night when you pour like 6 or 7 different beers into a big bucket to drink?
Yeah, I buy 6 or 7 new beers I've never had before, and I pour them all in a bucket, and I put a straw in there and just sip on that while I binge on Netflix.
Curly straw. You also put an umbrella on the side of the bucket.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I put like 3 curly straws because I need the beer to go in quicker.
Yeah, one in the mouth, 2 up the nose holes. Got it.
Nose holes? Who said anything about nose holes?
You got to get that beer down fast, You got to plug them all up.
Let's see. Oh, okay.
If you're breathing, you're not drinking fast enough.
It's not loading the ones before Universal.
So the best beers you had were with me at Universal? The Harry Potter beers?
Yeah, basically.
Or the Duff Beer from The Simpsons?
No, that stout at the Harry Potter land was pretty bomb.
Yeah, that was delicious.
Yeah, this is taking too long.
It's just dead air. Yeah, no, it's making it super easy for me when I go to, edit and I just have to cut all this out.
Literally, the last one is Dragon Scale. The which one is that one? The lager that we had, or the stout?
Dragon Scale, that is the lager, the red. The Wizard's Brew was the stout. And I agree, the Wizard's Brew was amazing.
Okay, here we go. There's the Duff Beer. Here's your beer. You're going to love editing this. The Obsidian Stout, which I thought I had tried.
Mm-hmm.
That one was pretty good. Oh, here it is. The Most Excellent IPA was my favorite one out of those. I assumed you grabbed that one because it was themed after the Bill and Ted thing.
I grabbed it because it was cheap. There's one thing I look for when I go to buy beers, and that is high ABV, low dollars.
Well, that one was most excellent.
Dude, I don't remember buying that one. I think Jen picked that one out.
Oh, you don't remember buying that one? Weird. Why don't you remember buying that, Steve? That's really
enough,
weird.
Ulysses. That's enough. So what are you drinking tonight, though?
So, my wife and I recently went to the grocery store, and we found there's a beer by Golden Road called Mango Cart that we really like, and they started coming out with a couple different versions, and they came out with Melon Cart. Mm-hmm. It's a watermelon wheat ale with honeydew and cantaloupe, and it is really good. And Maria actually, like, she's not a big fan of beer. She likes the Ace pineapple cider, and that was it until we found.
That's not a beer.
Cart. I know, exactly. But then we found the Melon Cart, and she loves it, so we bought like 2 cases of it.
Nice.
So I'm gonna pour them all in a bucket and go to town.
I love it.
What are you drinking, man?
Tonight I'm drinking. I'm back on my weight loss shake again. Just another.
Yeah, I heard you were dieting.
Yeah, a double old fashioned tonight. That's where you go to make an old fashioned, and then you're like, "What if I just made it twice as strong?" That sounds great.
Yeah,
I deserved
it.
I worked out.
And then you don't have to. Then you don't have to get up for another one.
Exactly.
Or it'll give you motivation to get more.
Yeah. So we do have some follow up for this week. Follow up comes from Brandon Russell of Minaret Photo, who wrote in to say, he took umbrage with me with what I said about California last week. So Brandon writes in to say, okay, so you're basing your idea of brown California on this one tiny little piece of coast on the northern end of a ginormous desert that has a bunch of water artificially pumped in. You can have the Shake Shack win, and I have, but don't throw the state under the bus because LA is dry. Ulysses, what do you got to say about that? You live in the state of California. Is there anything not dry out there?
Well, I'm gonna have to disagree with him about the whole Shake Shack thing.
No.
I don't think that's a clear win for you. We don't have to get into it, Steve.
Clear win. Shake Shack much better than In-N-Out. Everyone agrees.
I just went to Shake Shack and it was delicious, but it doesn't offer the same experience.
I think what you mean to say is when you go to a burger place, what you're looking for is high beef by volume content, low dollar, right?
Just like you like your beer. Yep.
Yeah, I love my beer high beef content.
Yeah, it's just not the same thing. But Shake Shack is delicious. I won't take that away from it.
I mean, I never said In-N-Out was bad. In-N-Out's great.
Yeah, but there's a specific experience that you get at In-N-Out where, like, I'm not always gonna crave a Shake Shack burger, but I can stop recording this podcast right now and go grab an In-N-Out for sure.
Yeah, no. You can't do that. No.
I might do that.
I need you. Why would you do this to me? You know Dustin's being held hostage right now.
You shouldn't have brought it up. No, you know what? I totally, when you said that, I totally got it. This place does seem dry when you're driving on when I go to other places, other states, and I drive around, like, I'm not familiar with the area at all. So all you're really seeing is what you see driving along the freeway, place to place, the things you're paying attention to. So if you're driving around city to city, like you went from our place down to the beach, I can see how you noticed a lot of deadness because California is pretty dry. But in just a couple minutes, you can be up in the forest and it's full green. You went to the beach, you got to go in that experience. You can go to the desert and get a whole different look in just a matter of minutes. You guys are just drowning in green. I don't know what's going on over there, man.
Yeah, we are. It's crazy. It's like if I want to go to like a dead place, I have to go salt my neighbor's lawn. And then, I've got a nice desert going on next to me as well. Or
Dustin's front yard. Has he got? Did he get the lawn put in yet?
I have no. He's being held hostage right now. I wish we could go to him and ask, but we just can't. So, when Jen and I were up in San Francisco, it was February, so it was like winter time, and there were some green parts that we saw on Google when we were doing research on places we wanted to go. Unfortunately, when we were there, it was all brown. So there's a lot of California I still want to see, though. I'd love to make it out to Yosemite or Muir Woods. So more follow-up. Josh Withers from the Facebook group last week, he shared with us that Shot Prof, the idea Dustin and I had, is actually already a thing. So if you go to shotprof.photos, shotprof.photos, you can see exactly what Dustin and I were describing on the podcast last week. And it's definitely not a URL that Josh Withers bought just to make a joke. That is my favorite thing in the world. You definitely didn't spend $20 on a joke.
So you have to catch me up on Shot Prof because I'm only halfway through that episode.
Ulysses, oh my gosh.
Which is going to make things a little weird right now.
So we were talking about Shoot Proof, and somebody like mispronounced it as Shot Prof. And so then we were talking about our new website we were launching called Shot Prof, which was shots of professors. And Josh Withers bought the domain. The URL and routed it to a Google search for pictures of professors.
Oh my God, that's hilarious, dude.
This is perfect. Also, more follow-up. So Dustin the other week was talking about a listener named Taylor Ford, who he said was quoting something from the podcast in her Instagram story. And I gave Dustin a lot of crap, a ton of crap, because I assumed he made her up and that it didn't exist and she wasn't a listener because I'd never heard her. I'd never seen her in our Facebook group. Taylor Ford just shared like maybe 30 minutes ago on Instagram a video of herself listening to the episode when we mentioned her name.
Was it an actual video of herself or was it just...
It was on an account called Taylor Ford Photos that has like 1,600 photos. So unless Dustin really did a lot of posting while he was in Mexico, she's real. And I can't believe
Steven, did we see her face though?
We didn't. She was in a car.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Maybe she's not real. But this is what makes me think she
Dustin
was
really
real.
If Dustin really is held hostage, he's got a lot of time on his hand right now.
That's true. And probably access to phones. That's right.
Yeah.
You know how it is when you get held hostage and they're just like, here, take this phone, do whatever you want with it. No, the best part though was Taylor ended the whole thing because I texted back and forth with her a little bit. She ended the whole thing by saying that she just wanted me to know that she was waiting to switch to a mirrorless system until she found one with 2 card slots for weddings. Good burn on Dustin right at the end there. I love that.
Well, tell her she can switch to the Sony A7 III system. Should be good to go.
Yeah. Sony A7 III. That does have 2 card slots. You're right. More follow-up. But for this follow-up, Ulysses, we're going to have to head over to the drone zone. So without further ado, let's cross over into the drone zone. Can you even go to the drone zone? Are you prepared for that?
You have brought the drone zone to me before, so I think I'm ready. I'm ready.
You watched me fly the drone. That's correct. So, some of you may have seen that I posted photos from the drone shot that I did when I was in California last week, and also that video. Some of you may have looked at the photo and been like, man, this is really low resolution and I can't see much. And that is because I was hit with the DJI Mavic Pro watercolor effect. So it was very dark, and the Mavic Pro, the first one, struggles sometimes when it's dark, and as a result of it struggling, it'll produce it tries to reduce the noise in your photo, and when it does that, it sometimes creates like a watercolor effect is how people describe it. So basically everything gets kind of blotchy looking, and when you look at like the pixels like close up, it doesn't look like a photo. It looks more like somebody painted a picture. So that is why the resolution on that photo is so small and on the video, because if it's bigger, you can see it and it looks bad. So I guess Dustin was right. I just bought a paperweight when I bought the Mavic Pro, you know? What good is it? Can't handle those low light situations.
If you hadn't bought that Mavic Pro, though, we would have never gotten that sweet video of you ruining that couple's day.
It was the last shoot, the last shot we did of the entire day, and they were like completely cool with it. So we just went back to their place. They took us out to dinner afterwards, and we went back to their place first, and they both showered. So it wasn't awkward at all.
Twice? They showered twice? Good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first shower was like, I got to get the sand off me. The second shower was like, I got to get the ocean stank off me. You know how it is. Or maybe I got that backwards. I'm not 100% certain how ocean stank works in ocean sand. You might be a little bit better with that, being from California.
Yeah, the ocean stink stays on you for a little while.
So, Ulysses, are you ready to talk about some real topics?
Let's do it.
Man, that was like a ton of follow-up. We went for 22 minutes on follow-up. Wow. Jeez. Oh, man. There's even one thing of follow-up I forgot. We don't even have time for real topics. We got to get back into follow-up, Ulysses. Completely forgot about this. Last week, Dustin and I joked about Zane Naylor selling piñatas filled with smoke bombs. And Zane posted to the Facebook group, he's actually an authorized piñata dealer. And he posted a photo of a piñata connected to a smoke machine blowing smoke into the piñata. It's like we just make random jokes, and then people in our group are just making them come true. You know, how do you become
a registered? Wait, what did you say? Registered?
I think he was joking about the registered piñata
He's
part.
A registered piñata.
He is a registered Enola Gay smoke bomb dealer, smoke grenade smoke bomb dealer, but a registered piñata dealer. I think that was a joke.
I don't know, man. That seems like a pretty sweet gig.
Yeah, no, I'd go for it in a heartbeat. That'd be great. So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about this week. First thing I want to talk about, something that Dustin and I have been kind of putting off talking about. But Mashable had an article go up a little while ago, and it was talking about YouTubers. So YouTube influencers, people on YouTube who vlog, stuff like that, faking Instagram trips. So the basic idea is they shoot a bunch of photos of themselves in front of a green screen, and then they take photos of the places where they say they're going and Photoshop the background in behind them. And then claim that they were there. Because when they do that, they get more likes on Instagram than if, they just take pictures of their real life.
This is actually a pretty smart idea. Maybe we should incorporate this into our wedding photography.
I'm here for it. Yeah. What do you think? Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe we shot a wedding in front of the Taj Mahal. I've always wanted to go there. And maybe by posting that photo,
you'll get to go there.
We'll get to go there.
Someone will see that fake photo you shot and be like, yes, I want to hire that guy for my destination wedding at the Taj Mahal.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to start running ads.
This is a perfect way to become a destination wedding photographer and travel the world.
I'm going to start running ads on Instagram immediately.
Everyone's always asking, how do you become a destination wedding photographer? Well, let me tell you.
I shot a bunch of models in front of green screens, and then I just photoshopped them into cool, interesting places throughout the world.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I didn't even do a good job with the photoshopping. You can see the green outline around them. It was real bad.
Like basic cropping. I just used the erase tool.
I love it. We got to give this a try. I mean, this could be the next $1 million wedding photography idea we just stumbled across here thanks to these YouTubers. And we won't know until we actually try it out. I mean, I was just thinking like basic stuff, like you just do this at the actual wedding with like an actual couple, and you're like, your wedding kind of sucked. We can all agree you did not pay for good flowers. You did not get, the bright string lights hung up at the venue. We don't have that nice bokeh behind you during the first dances. I brought my green screen. We're just going to do a few shots in front of that. And then I'm going to add in some backgrounds behind you that look a lot prettier and better. But I like this idea better of trying to use this to get destinations.
Well, you could explain all that to them, and hopefully they'll understand. Or you could just surprise them with it.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, wow, I thought that I paid thousands of dollars for this kind of boring venue, but I didn't know I was going to get to...
Holy shit, when did Marshmello come and start DJing at my wedding?
Yeah,
this is crazy.
Oh, you're just taking it a step further. Now you can start adding adding people to, like, there were celebrities at your reception that you were partying with.
Yeah, and you didn't know about it until you saw the photos. Mm-hmm. Think about that. Whoa, who is that old-timey gentleman over there? He looks a lot like James Dean's ghost.
Oh, my God. And they're, like, semi-transparent, too.
I'm going to hell for this.
I actually love this idea. If I found out some photographer was doing that, I don't think I could even be mad at them. That would be pretty awesome.
You just got to like jump on Getty Images or someplace where you can get photos of celebrities for free. But you got to make sure that they have the thing where you're allowed to edit the photo and not just use the photo. You know, you can take them and put them wherever you want. Oh, you know, a real easy one you could do it with Vince Vaughn and what's his face, the other guy. When they did that movie, The Internship, they did all like the business photos, and they said they released them to the public, like public domain. Yeah, just take those and do whatever nasty stuff you want with them. You know what I'm talking about? I'm surprised you don't see Vince Vaughn doing more terrible things on the internet thanks to that campaign. But I guess terrible people on the internet, they don't wait for things to become public domain to do terrible things with photos.
Yeah, that's a good idea, man. Becoming a faux wedding photographer.
Yeah, no, I love this. Let's take it a step further. Like maybe you just see somebody else who took like photos of a couple at a venue, and that couple is more attractive than your couple. So you just take one of your photos and you Photoshop your couple out, Photoshop their couple in.
We're so much better looking than we thought.
Wow, I'm really going to hell. Wow, it's great. It's great, man.
This is not.
Am I the only one who's burning right now? I'm sweating over here. It feels so hot.
No one's gonna want to listen to my podcast after this.
We'll be lucky if people keep listening to this one. Ulysses, have you ever heard of Unsplash?
No. Is that an Adobe program?
Unsplash is not an Adobe program. I first ran across Unsplash like 2012 or 2013 when it was first getting its feet first popped up on the web. I think when I first found it, they were on like their 10th issue of photos. So Unsplash is a service that people upload photos to. And when they upload the photos to Unsplash, they're releasing their copyright on them. So all the photos are in the public domain, and you can do whatever you want with them. So I first found about Unsplash because I was blogging for a company, and I needed photos, and they wouldn't pay for photos. So I had to look for free stuff online, and that's how I stumbled across Unsplash when it was first starting up. And when they first started, it was like they released 10 photos a month or something like that into, the public domain. And then as they became more popular and picked up more people who wanted to contribute photos to be released in the public domain, they, started to post more often and more frequently. And now they just announced they hit 1 million photos. So they have 1 million stock photos people can use. Free.
And it's free.
It's all free.
That's pretty awesome.
Is that awesome? You're a photographer. You take photos for, what's it called? I believe money?
Yeah.
I believe you take photos for money. And if you're not taking photos for money, you might be taking photos for exposure, I think is the other one. And Unsplash is giving these photographers who submit photos to them neither money nor exposure.
That is true, but those photographers are willingly contributing to that community. So is it really Unsplash's fault
No,
for
it's
creating
not.
this community, or is it the photographer? I'm
I
not going to go
actually,
contribute to that.
I'm not going to
but,
contribute either. But I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Because
mean, I'm just saying, like, go ahead.
I think there are people out there who they want to create something and they don't care about getting paid for it, and they don't care about getting like recognition for it. They just want to create something so that it exists in the world, and they want it to go out and be used all over. The only thing is, like, people can just download these Unsplash photos and do whatever they want with them. So, you'll probably see them in like a Target calendar or on a Walmart towel or something at some point in time in the future. And people will then realize that, oh, my photos are worth something and I made a mistake by giving them away for free. But if your intent is you don't ever want recognition, you don't ever want to make money, you just want this thing that you created to exist in the world so other people can see this thing that, maybe nobody else ever thought of to create before, like, that's super cool.
Yeah. You know what? There's going to be people out there that really need Unsplash, and I would just hope that, it helps them out. And then there's going to be people who suck all the time. There's always going to be people who suck. And,
Why are you staring right at me when you say that?
I'm just saying, Steven, there's always going to be people that suck.
Why are you pointing at the camera while you say that?
I just really want you to understand.
Why are you holding up a sign that says I'm talking about you, Steve?
There's always going to be people that suck.
Like that dog that keeps barking?
Yeah, that dog sucks.
Yeah. So a lot of photographers don't like Unsplash because, as stated, these people are releasing photos. They don't get paid money. They don't get any recognition. Basically, Unsplash is worse in some photographers' minds than people who shoot for exposure, because these people are shooting and getting absolutely nothing in return. And so it's like eroding the exposure market.
Yeah.
You used to be able to shoot something and get like 800 exposures for it, and now you don't even get that. It's like, what the hell, man?
No, I totally get it, man. Is there even any way, do you like create a profile in there so people can recognize you for the work? I think
on Unsplash, when last time I was on that site, you could actually see who the photographer was who had taken the photos. So you could get exposure that way. Like if somebody saw your photos on Unsplash, wanted to use them in their thing, and then was like, I want more photos like that or made by that creative person, they could contact you to get them. But yeah, it's like once those photos are released out into the world, though, it's like if a blog uses your photo, they don't have to credit you. They don't have to pay you. So then people would look at that on that blog and just be like, oh, that photo, like, it's great. I love this blog, I guess, for having it. I don't know. So it's like there's no way to loop people back into you. Because like as wedding photographers, we from time to time get stuff published in magazines, on blogs, stuff like that. And when we do, there's always an expectation or a contract that specifically states they will link out to us, to our website and stuff. So it pushes traffic back to us. But like these people are just having their photos placed places and there's no link back. There's no benefit to them at all when that happens.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be, these sites and these programs with pros and cons. And as photographers, especially, it's easier for us as professionals to see the cons in that. But you and I would never really contribute to that. But I'm sure there are people that, really needed Unsplash for a project or for school or for something that they're working on.
Probably. Oh, man. So I had some tweets flagged that I wanted to talk about this week, and none of them, they all got deleted.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, wait, there's one. So Bridget tweeted out this week, I just saw a photographer wearing white to a client's wedding.
Gosh.
I hope that's true.
That's got to be like a newbie mistake right there.
I hope it's a photographer who's just wearing, full on wedding dress,
Or maybe maybe the groom hired his ex-girlfriend to photograph their wedding, and and she wore the white in spite of him.
Yeah. Didn't you photograph one of your ex's weddings?
Perhaps, maybe, but that's
and you showed up in a full tux, right? with a boutonniere?
Not even close.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I showed up in sandals.
Sandals, but tux with tails, boutonniere, monocle.
No, I
and
actually
a cane.
wore sandals,
walking cane.
trunks, and then I wore that T-shirt with a tux printed on it. Yeah, super classy.
Yeah. How did that look with the top hat that you were wearing, though? That you always wear.
Tell you, man, I keep it classy.
So Maria, not your wife, in a random Facebook group, wrote this today. Well, alrighty then. There's a lady now sharing her Instagram account with her husband, and I got this a little bit ago. He has literally left like 40 comments under an ad I'm running that I did a year ago to delete the ad because his wife went behind his back. That's right. It's a boudoir ad, a maternity boudoir ad. And his wife signed a model release form literally for the purpose of that shoot. And she said, "Oh, my husband doesn't know, but he'll get over it." So this photographer, Maria, went with it because, she's a grown woman. She can make her own decisions. And this guy, though, has been texting her. And this is what he texted to her or DM'd her on Instagram. "Remove the pictures of my wife from your page and anywhere else you have them. I am her husband, and I had no idea that my pretty much knacked wife," I think he meant to say naked, "would be put all over social media. Today, I don't care what she signed. She has done this behind my back, and I am very upset about it." Ulices, have you ever had to deal with something like this?
No, I don't shoot boudoir photos.
So let's say your wife, Maria, she's going out. She wants to get some boudoir photos done. She signs a model release and she just goes out and gets knacked,
Yeah,
and
knacked.
So are you jumping on that photographer's page then if you see one of those photos to tell them that, they need to delete the photos of your knacked wife? I in my mind, this guy wrote knacked because he couldn't bring himself to write naked, but he wrote it right after he wrote like my f***ing pretty much. Ooh, can't say naked. Knacked wife. If I say naked, then it's real. She got naked in front of a photographer.
This guy just he's just not seeing what reality really is, and that's that his wife got knacked.
Oh man.
And and showed off all her knacked goods all over social media.
Interesting story. When I was out in California, I asked you, Ulices, while I'm there, do you want to do an episode of Wedding Photo Podcast, your podcast, while I'm there? And you were like, "Yes, Steve, I would absolutely love to do that with you. I just have one question. You sent over something to me 2 weeks ago before I even asked you if you'd want to do it, stating what you would need if you were going to do it, Steve. And there's this line where it just says, in any video you show up in, you'll be fully knacked." And and then for some reason, when I got there, we didn't end up doing the video. And I just want to know, what was it? Was it because I said, I'm going to be knacked for the whole video and it's going to be full frontal? Is that what turned you off to the idea of doing a video with me?
Yeah, some people read the fine print, Steven.
I didn't ask for you to be knacked. I wanted to be knacked.
I was just trying to protect my wife and my bunny from seeing you knacked.
Yeah, and the neighbor's dog.
And the neighbor's dog. Hopefully you don't hear it as much in this one.
Oh no. Ulices, what'd you do to the dog? Ulices, what did you do to the dog, Ulices? Ulysses, no!
Oh, is this where you put like a gunshot sound effect? Do laser sounds instead.
Laser sounds will be when Eva, the photography robot, comes to kill you.
Oh God.
Maybe she's the one who's got Dustin. Who knows? We don't know.
She's taking a long time to cross country.
Yeah. So Diana Sanders in our very own Facebook group wrote in today, and she said, my other half and trusty assistant was the most popular guy at the wedding this weekend. He made sure the wedding party got their wine slushies and the bride and groom got fed during portrait time. The reality is that he does this to make sure the people I need for photos don't wander off for a drink or food or slow us down. But my couples just think he's a really cool guy. So she included some photos of him with wine slushies, hanging out with the bride and groom. And wow, my mind was blown when I saw this, because Jen and I have been shooting for 9 years now. Wow, long time. We've been shooting for 9 years now. And we have, on multiple occasions, seen wedding planners come out with like cocktails or beers, or usually water for for the bridal party. The bridal party usually takes care of their own alcohol, but in some cases they don't. And so a lot of times, like the wedding planner or the coordinator will come on and bring that kind of stuff to them, or bring food. A lot of times, like hors d'oeuvres if it's during cocktail hour. I've never had the sense as Jen's like second shooter, and I've never had the sense when I'm the primary shooter to ask my second shooter to do this, to like, hey, can you just run in and grab like some hors d'oeuvres and bring it out here? Like, this blew my mind, Diana Sanders. I could not believe that this was a thing a photographer could even do.
She made it sound like he does it every time, too.
I know. Her husband has to be the coolest dude in the entire world. I mean, I saw pictures. He looks super cool. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah?
If you want to see pictures, no, he wasn't knacked, unfortunately. But if you want to see pictures of a totally not knacked dude bringing wine slushies out, jump on in the Facebook group. Do a search for Diana Sanders. That's 2 N's in Diana. Ulysses, have you guys ever done this, you and Maria?
I don't think so, man. I mean, no, I don't think we've done that. There's probably been a time where, if we hear the groom or the bride like say like, I need some water, yeah, I'll go out of my way to, if I don't see the coordinator and I'm next to the bar or something, I've gotten some water for the bride and groom. But I don't think they've ever asked for like tequila shots from me anyways.
Whoa. Tequila shots? Your mind went straight to tequila shots? He's just bringing out wine slushies. That's low ABV, but tequila shots? Do you come out with like a super soaker and you're just squirting tequila shots in people's mouths?
Steve, we're in Southern California. We're literally on the border of Mexico. What do you think we drink out here besides beer?
It's very dry out there. I would assume water, but I mean, I guess if beer and tequila shots are what get you through. When I was in California, Jen at one point in time looked at me and she said, Steve, I don't think I've drank anything but coffee and beer while we've been out here. I need water so bad.
Oh man, that is so true. That's what keeps the energy going though, man.
Yeah, it's what pushes, all the stuff in your system up to your brain real fast.
How are you supposed to be creative in your engagement sessions without coffee and beer?
Yeah, I don't know how you'd do it. It's utterly crazy to think about. Ulysses.
Let's do some Q&A. Let's do it, man.
Alex Bruce from our very own Facebook group, and just a few miles away from Ulysses, says,
hey, what's up, Alex?
Does anyone here that offers a photo booth mind sharing your contract with me? I just picked one up, and for some reason in my head, I thought coming up with a contract would be quick and easy. So we can't share a contract here on the podcast. That'd be a little crazy. But we could share some tips. Ulysses, have you ever done a photo booth?
I am a little embarrassed to say I have.
Hey, you know what? I'm a little embarrassed to say I have too.
Because I don't think my photo booth looked anything like any of today's photo booths.
Okay, so like when you did a photo booth, what did you do?
Man, I used to have a photo booth where I'd set up like a giant. I have a 10 by 20 black muslin tarp, and I used to set that up as a background, and then I'd backlight it. I'd have another studio flash, and then I'd have my camera on a tripod tethered to my laptop, connected to an actual printer that we lugged around, and I had templates in Lightroom ready to do like I think it was 4 pictures, and we would print out 5x7s. So it was pretty cool. Like, it actually printed out real, what you get today. But man, it was, if something went down, like troubleshooting that thing was such a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to carry all of that stuff just for a photo booth setup.
So what'd your contract say about if something went down?
Contract?
Yeah, your contract.
Oh, Steven. Oh, my contract. Yes.
Do they not do contracts in California? Hey, Alex, you live like 20 miles away from Ulysses. I'm going to tell you, you don't do contracts in California. That whole state works on just handshakes, handshakes and positive vibes that you send back and forth to each other. And you do that when, you're knacked or not knacked with a really friendly smile and kind eyes. It works better if you're knacked.
Alex, come over and have a beer with me, and I'll tell you all about my contracts for my photo booth.
That sounds like there's a horrible story there where you got burned really bad at some point in time. Did that happen?
No. Luckily we did not.
So Jen and I did a photo booth at a few weddings, and we did basically the same thing as you. Like, we had a backdrop that we lugged out, stands, to hold the backdrop up, and then we had like a octagon softbox flash, and then like a backlight, and I think like a bounce cutter or something, and then we shot it all with like a 7D or a 5D Mark II, because it was like back when we were first getting started. And we quickly realized we hated it. We absolutely hated it. And we never wanted to do it again. It was really awkward. It was a ton of work. We didn't print out pictures though. We had cards we printed off that led to a website, and then we'd post the photos like a day or two after the wedding to the website. And the idea was the website was our website. It would drive more traffic to our website, and people could buy their photos from there if they, wanted like a larger print, or they could just like share the photos to social media, which would drive more traffic back to our website. That was kind of the idea of it. And we only did it at like 2 or 3 weddings. Jen will probably listen to this and then tell me how wrong I am and how many weddings we actually did it at. But it was a huge pain in the ass, and I hated every second of it, because it's like you have to like tell people, hey, do this. Be funny. Can you be funny for a second?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, be funny. Click. So I was real bad at it. And a lot of times when we had to do it, Jen would be the one who would end up running it, and then I would do like all the dance floor stuff until we'd shut it down during like the first dances, toasts, all that kind of stuff. And so like Jen would do that. I would do like dance floor stuff. And then if there was something like she had to pull the clients out for night shots or something, then I would run the photo booth while she was doing that. And it was just so much work, and it just felt like nobody really cared. And just hated it so much. We hate it. Alex, don't do a photo booth. Don't do a photo booth. I know you want to offer one. Don't offer one. They're terrible. There are whole people who build companies around just doing a photo booth, and, just hire them to come in and do a photo booth for you when you're going to do one, and just use their contract, because you don't want to mess with this. It just complicates the entire night. It's like when you're doing a wedding and somebody's like, could you just like shoot some video for us real quick of this one thing? And it's like, No, I don't. No, I can't. I don't want to. Like, your camera does video. Like, it means so much to us if we just got like a video of this as opposed to just photos. And it's like, you didn't hire me. No, like there's so much more that goes into making that video. Like, there's so much more that goes into the photo booth. Like, I don't know. If you're doing a photo booth, please don't do. I see so many people are like, I'm adding a photo booth and I'm just going to charge like $150 as an add-on. It's like, it's not worth it for $150.
No,
Photo booth
definitely
add-on
not.
should be $1,000 bare minimum.
Yeah.
It's so much work.
We
Especially-
only did it. We only did it as an add-on. We never sold just the photo booth. And same thing, we didn't do it that many times. We did it a few times, and it really just was not worth it.
So the big things I would say though, after what Ulices said, is you need to add something to your contract about when your printer breaks, because your printer will break. And here's the other thing I'm going to say to you. If you're running a photo booth and you bought like one of those Giphy stand shit things, or I don't know, what are some of the other photo booth things out there besides Giphy?
The
Like
Giphy,
UV?
the iPad one. Well, now they come with like so many options. Like all the photo booths I've seen, you can do a photo, you can do 4 photos and get it printed out. You can do a boomerang, and you have the option to have all these things.
All
sent
this
to
just
your
makes me
phone.
want to vomit.
I do know one mistake that I've seen our friends run into is our friends Sarah and Randall, they have a photo booth, and they went out and shot some stuff somewhere in Coachella, and they were in the middle of the desert and didn't have any Wi-Fi. So that
Yep.
kind of prevents you from being able to, turn over the photos on the spot. So definitely have something like that in the contract.
That's what I was getting at next was, you're gonna run into mistakes. Your printer's gonna stop working, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have 2, you don't have 1. You know what I'm saying, Alex? So if you buy like one of those Giphy things, if you don't have 2 Giphies, you don't actually have 1 Giphy. You know what I'm saying? Because as soon as that one goes down, you're screwed, and you just screwed up their whole wedding. They don't have their photo booth anymore. So you need to have a backup. Running a photo booth is like, shooting a wedding where you need a backup camera. You can't just go to a wedding with 1 camera, because if that camera shuts down, if it fails, then you're screwed, and the client's screwed, and your business is screwed. What?
That sounds
What's
awful.
this? Oh God! Yeah, I heard you use the
sounds-
Lord's name in vain, Lord and Savior.
What's worse than lugging around 1 photo booth? Lugging around 2 photo booths.
Yeah.
And one's
This is
just
what
a
I'm saying. It's
paperweight.
not worth it. It's entirely not worth it. Here's the other thing. So if your photo booth needs Wi-Fi to work and you don't have Wi-Fi, you can always, link up to like your cell phone or an iPad or something like that. But your cell phone, your iPad, whatever it is probably going to be on Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, or what's the other one? Sprint. Those are like the 4 networks. So if you want to have your bases covered, you're going to need 1 on like Verizon or Sprint, and then 1 on T-Mobile or AT&T, just in case, the network doesn't work wherever you are. And you'd probably want to stick with like the Verizon and the AT&T. So now you're carrying around, your phone in a wireless hotspot sort of thing, or a cellular internet hotspot sort of thing.
You have to have multiple phones. You have to have multiple photo booths.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't always, most of the photo booths have a thing if there's not like an internet connection because you're in the middle of the desert and there's no cell service and no Wi-Fi, then you can always like deliver the photos or upload the boomerangs or whatever later once you're back on Wi-Fi. But then it's like, now I just left the desert and I have to find the nearest Starbucks so I can upload all of my boomerangs so that the client is, happy and they get shared and I get, more jobs out of it. And yeah, if you don't want to be in business, period, Alex, like, gosh, have you ever considered just selling all your earthly possessions and just living somewhere? You don't need to make money. Nobody needs to make money. Ulices, you're with me on this, right? You're just riding on the edge of a snap with me on this, right?
Oh, I already don't make any money, and it's pretty fantastic. Oh man.
Yeah. So, just that contract, as soon as you write it out, just, throw it straight in the shredder because it's not worth anything because you don't need it. Because, Alex, you're getting an RV and you're moving out to the middle of the desert. You're going to be at Burning Man in a few days. It's going to be great. Don't worry about it. Ulysses, did you find a question you wanna address? Now that I think we knocked that one out of the park for Alex, right?
Oh yeah, I think that was really helpful. Here, let me find one. I can't do two things at once, so I was not looking at them.
No, it's fine. Just take a second. We'll cut it out. I gotta cut the dog out anyway. Go shoot the dog. What? Ulysses. What the hell? I can't believe you said that.
I'm not gonna shoot the dog.
I'm cutting you saying I'm not gonna shoot the dog out and just putting gunshots in.
He's barking more than usual.
He can hear you're on a podcast.
Okay, I got one.
Okay, cool.
All right, Bart. God, that damn dog. Wait, I need a beer before I do this. Hang on a second. All right. Bart from a random Facebook group. He asks, my computer don't click and the Pix donut look good. I have Sharpie. Can I use to fix print? What the heck?
Ulysses is very simple. Bart from a random Facebook group says, my computer don't click and the Pix donut look good. I have Sharpie. Can I use to fix print? Can he use to fix print, Ulysses? I think this might be a question we answered on like a guest episode already, and I just loved the question so much. I was like, no, we got to give this one another pass. Because I think on the guest episode, they were just like, I don't understand. Let's move on.
What is there not to understand about
I don't know.
my computer don't click and the Pix donut look good? Come on, man. The Pix donut look good.
I mean, donuts always look good to me.
The Sharpie will fix print, let me tell you.
So for people out there wondering, yes, it is donut, spelled D-O-N-U-T, not do not, which is why we're pronouncing it donut. And they are wondering if they can use a Sharpie to fix the donut when it goes to print. So, Ulysses, I would say when your computer don't click, we've all been there before where we go to click that computer and it just don't click. You know what I'm saying? You try to click that dick pic and it just don't click.
Well, there's one fix to all of the dick pics, and that's taking a Sharpie and drawing a little mustache, and you fix all the pics. Come on, we all know that.
A dick pic? You just draw a Sharpie? Is it like looking straight down the barrel? So you like put like a little mouth underneath, eyes on googly eyes on top.
I mean,
straight down the barrel of the aubergine.
So some pics require more fixing, you know?
I think, yeah. Like your computer don't click, but you do got the pics and you have printed them out. So now that the pics have printed, you can use those Sharpies to fill in the things. So let's say you're trying to clone stamp an area and it's like let's say it's like a sand on a beach and like there's just a little bit of seaweed there. You just get out your brown Sharpie and you take it straight to that print and you just color over the seaweed with a little bit of brown. Now it just looks like there's a little off-color sand in the rest of the sand there. So I think Bart's actually onto something here. I think this is a great way to run your business and do your prints.
I think this is going to be the most helpful episode your listeners have ever listened to, honestly.
I think, maybe even better, just take the Sharpie when you're talking to your client and just draw straight on the computer screen if the computer won't click. You could just edit it right on the screen. Yeah.
Better yet, before you even take their pics, you just draw a mustache right onto them with the Sharpie.
Onto their dick. Yeah. Yeah. You're like, these are totally knacked pics.
And then you don't have to fix anything afterwards.
Yeah, perfect. If you can fix it in the pregame, you don't have to fix it in the postgame. You know what I'm talking about? So that's like a real thing with video production that I've done on so many occasions is, so when Jen and I started, when I started shooting photos with Jen, there was like this whole thing where Jen was like, we want to shoot everything as good as we can, but I can always Photoshop stuff out if we need it. And with video, until recently, you couldn't really just easily get rid of stuff. Now, like Adobe has its like content aware fill stuff in Premiere, and Final Cut has nothing. Final Cut has nothing. But I was trying to like be on the lookout for.
Are you going to keep trying to convince me to get Final Cut? Because you're not really selling me.
I didn't say that. Final Cut is a worthless dumpster fire. So I was always trained, like, you got to be on the lookout for like cords plugged into outlets. You got to be on the lookout for like little things in the background that you don't notice while you're shooting because you're looking at a very tiny screen, but you'll notice when you go to edit because you're looking at like a bigger photo, bigger video. And it's crazy too with video because it's like you edit in this little tiny box on your computer screen. But like when you send the video to your client, they have it fill up the entire screen of their computer or the entire screen of their TV. So they're seeing everything in your videos at like much bigger resolution. So it's a lot easier for them to pick out your mistakes. So I was always like trained through all my video production stuff that I did when I was younger that like you have to micromanage every single thing you shoot to try to get rid of as much stuff as you possibly can in the background, on the sides, wherever. So for me, it's like natural to pregame real hard when it's coming to that kind of stuff and just try to micromanage every single scene and every single situation I'm in. Do you find that at all with what you're doing? Because
so
I mean, you do videos now.
This is actually a really good tip, Steven. So what you're saying is you just carry a bunch of Sharpies around with you?
Yeah, carry a bunch of Sharpies around with me, and it's like, oh, the kid left that fire truck out on the windowsill. Well, the window is brown, so I'll just take this brown Sharpie and I'll color over the entire red fire truck. So now it's just a brown fire truck, and it'll blend right in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, and I try to draw as many donuts as I can for Bart, because he needs them.
Yeah. No, I think I'm glad you left that question in there for another episode because I think this time we actually nailed it.
I think we did. Yeah. Let's do one more question from somebody in our own Facebook group. Ooh, can you handle a long one? Can you handle a real long one? It's a lengthy question. Can you take a
just like Dustin,
big lengthy?
Just like Dustin,
wait,
I am being held hostage, so I think I can handle it.
By me, though. Eat it, Ulices.
Right into that
one. Sally Psycho from our very own Facebook group asked, so I've been mulling over ideas about possibly live streaming or maybe podcasting someday. I've had experience with voice work / broadcasting for commercials and am totally fine with speaking into a mic. It's just that type of stuff was scripted and packaged with a goal in mind by the company that paid me to do it. Basically, I'm at the stage where I'm trying to think of the kinds of content, value, in parentheses, I could share and what kind of audience I'd like to serve. But to be honest, I'm drawing a blank. Keep in mind that I hate blogging on my website so much. Personal note for me, don't we all? That Sally has literally, she says, embedded her live Instagram feed into the blog to keep it fresh for the algorithms and to avoid having to ever have to publish another top 10 ideas for planning your outdoor wedding kind of post. All things being equal, I feel like I could host a photographer's version of meme review, but sadly, Reddit doesn't offer enough content to base a podcast on. The other thing is that my life, especially when sitting at the editing desk, is boring AF. I don't know what that means. Do you know what AF means?
Autofocus?
Yeah, it's boring as autofocus, which is super boring. Especially on those Sonys where it just nails the eye every time. It's like, I always know what I'm going to get and it's going to look great. Yawn. Sally says, I'm basically, read basic, a 42-year-old mom of teenagers who happens to take photos for a living while spending too much side time taking nature photos and playing PUBG, Who the heck would care to listen to someone like me? LOL. So, how do you guys come up with new stuff every week to talk about? I get that you troll the Facebook groups and come up with content gold, but I genuinely notice that you two do put a lot of thought/effort into what you put out there and into our earbuds. Or, put another way, how did you two figure out the world needed the finest in phototainment? P.S. The Jen meme gets a 10 out of 10. And that is a meme Jen created, which you can find in the Facebook group, where it's 2 photos I took of Jen, where it says what I think I look like while shooting versus reality. And one photo is like a glamour shot where her hair is blowing in the wind. There's a flash behind her. It's beautiful. And the other photo is a photo I took of her when she didn't think I was shooting and she was mid-sentence. And yeah, she doesn't like that second one so much. It's my favorite. But yeah.
It's literally the best photographer's meme out there.
Yeah. So, Ulices, I'm so glad you're on the podcast with me this week because, as Sally said, she's so glad that, you know, she's speaking to 2 people who really do put a lot of thought and effort into what they put out there into the world and really do spend a lot of time coming up with content. So I'm really glad you're here with me.
What is that supposed to mean, Steve?
I'm just putting a burn on my co-host who's currently being held hostage in Mexico. That's all. Well, that's going to do it for us here on the No, joking.
No, I think we've already told her we're all waiting for her podcast. Dude, I love when Sally posts because she's I don't know how she doesn't see it, but she always posts like super informative stuff. Like the whole thing on how she gets her pages to #1 on like the Google searches and stuff. Like I don't know how to do that. And that's like several topics in itself. I want her to start the podcast so I can start listening to her podcast.
Ulysses, I'm going to push back. I have told Sally multiple times she should start her own podcast, and I'm going to let that ride. But, you know, for everybody else out there listening, I just want to say, you guys, we don't need more people making content. We need more people listening to our content. If you get out there and start making really good content, it's going to take people away from the mediocre content we're creating right here, right now. So, you think you're better than me? You think you're better than me?
Yeah, that's
but for
all,
real,
Sally, that's all Steve right there.
That's all Steve. But for real, when you're considering what you want to talk about, think about what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about taking nature photos and playing PUBG, like that's cool stuff that people want to know more about. And if there's an intersection between that, and there's probably not because PUBG does suck, and you should be playing Fortnite and maybe Apex Legends. Sorry, Sally, just my personal opinion. Fortnite's a lot better though, and Apex Legends is it's okay. Who pays for video games anymore? You know, you just play a game for free like Fortnite or Apex Legends, and then you spend a ton of money on skins. That's what you got to get into, Sally, is the business of create something for free, and then just, you know, once people are hooked, once they're on the hook, you just sell them a bunch of like worthless skins that don't affect the gameplay at all, but make you tons of money. So let's workshop this. Sally does a lot of cool stuff with SEO, right? Sally could help a lot of people learn how to get to #1 in their market with their SEO. Once they're #1 in their market with SEO, though, what comes next? Well, their website probably looks like shit. They don't have a #1 Sally Psycho SEO star badge on the page. You know, you could start selling those. You probably don't have like a cool Sally Psycho sticker that, you know, you can put on your laptop. You could probably start selling Sally Psycho badges and pins that people could put on. And the thing is, like, in your community, you have to make it look like if they don't have these things, they're not real fans. By the way, has anybody gotten on Zazzle and looked at the wedding photo hangover shit? No, I'm joking.
and if you really want to rake in the money, you just start a website called Sally Psycho Saves the World. and direct everyone to your Patreon page.
Sally, you have so much to offer the world. And this doesn't just go for Sally. Basically, everybody who is a part of our group, you guys continue to impress me almost every single day with the sorts of things that you guys are posting in the group, the sorts of things I see you guys posting on Instagram, on Twitter, whether it's like presets that you've created for Lightroom, whether it's guides you've made for like helping people learn how to edit better, or guides you've made for helping people learn how to shoot better, or just pointers and tips on like things, lenses you could use for shooting certain situations. And you don't have to go and like turn that into a podcast or a vlog or anything like that. But if you are in a position like Sally is, like, just know that the things you have in your mind, like the things you're already sharing, are worth something, and you don't have to share them for free. And it's awesome when people do. But like your ideas, your experience, your knowledge is worthwhile. And if you share it with people, you will, if you keep at it, you will eventually find an audience. Ulices has his podcast, Wedding Photo Podcast. I have my podcast, Wedding Photo Hangover, the other podcast I do with my wife, Wedded. And all of those podcasts have found audiences of people who are interested in the things we have to say, interested in the things we want to share. And it's been amazing to me to see like the reactions from people. Like, I feel like just the other day I saw Ulices like sharing Instagram stories of people saying like their minds were blown by like some of the interviews he was doing recently. Who was the last person you interviewed on your podcast?
My good friend Hannah. She's also one of our associate shooters. Yeah, she was.
I feel like I saw like
really
3 or 4 different like posts that you shared of like people just like saying how much they love that interview and how they loved like hearing everything that Hannah had to say and stuff. And it's been like amazing to me to see the reaction that a lot of people have. And I feel like we undervalue, all of us undervalue our own experiences, our own knowledge that we've gained. And I feel like it's very important to me that all of you out there who listen know how incredibly valuable you are to me and to Dustin and to Ulices and to Jen and to everybody else who's come on the show, because the things you guys have to share, your experiences, the way you see life is different than the way that we experience things, the way we see life. And I get a lot of value out of like when you guys share that, because it opens me up to new possibilities, new ways of thinking. And I know most of the time Dustin and I are just like doing dick jokes and stuff on this podcast. But it's crazy to me every once in a while when we stumble across something that resonates with people. And to me, it was just a joke. And then when other people out there in the community start talking about it and they say like, actually, this is something I do and this is how it's changed my business and stuff, it makes me reevaluate like the way I do business and the way I approach my work and my weddings and everything like that. So just know you're valuable, and just know that you might think that you don't have anything worth sharing with the world, but you have a ton. You have so much to give, and it would be awesome if you started giving that. All jokes aside, sorry, that was like a really long rant. Let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya, and I'm really undercutting everything I just said, but I don't care. Fortnite's awesome. PUBG sucks.
I want to add something to it.
No. I did all the heartfelt stuff. I almost cried over here. You don't get to almost cry. Go to your podcast if you want to almost cry.
You can edit it so I say this first and then you end it with all your
Oh, is this going to be like a really shitty thing that you say? Okay. No. Yeah, give it to me. Give it to me. Yeah.
I'm just saying, you have the power.
I'm going to add a fart noise at the end of whatever you say. Don't worry about it.
Oh, God. It's really messed up. I hope you do, though. No, you and I have talked about this before, too. When I first started the podcast, just like Sally, I knew I wanted to do something. Podcasting was what I was most interested in, but I didn't know whether I was going to actually get listeners or if whatever I was putting out there was going to be informative. But I did want to have something out there. And as I started putting I think the hardest thing to do was recording episode 1. And then after that, I still didn't know what I was doing. But as every episode came on, it got, as far as me talking into the mic, it got easier and easier. And then I just started to formulate like a path on how I got content and who I wanted to talk to. And just like with anything we do, just like photography, the amount of time that you invest, it's all just going to get better and better over time. So she may not know exactly how she wants to put it together now, but as soon as she starts recording and putting content out there, she's going to create her own path, and she's going to get listeners, and it's going to be awesome. And then whatever Steven said.
Oh gosh, Ulysses, did you just fart straight in the microphone? Oh man, that's gross. Oh, crazy. Man. Wow. Oh man.
You, Steven.
That's going to do it for us this week here on the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast with Ulysses and Steve. Dustin. No. He's going to be so mad at me. I'm a terrible person. If you want to help Dustin and I out, not Ulysses so much. Oh, wow. Leave us.
Before we end this recording, I'm going to need you to send me my payment for doing this.
Okay, don't worry about it. It's coming in the mail.
You can
it's
Venmo.
800 exposures. Don't worry.
No, just send it to my Venmo. Let me just put it on the episode. My Venmo
500 exposures straight to your Venmo. Don't worry about it. If you want to help us out, jump on iTunes or Stitcher and leave us a 5-star review. And while you're at it, jump on over to the Wedding Photo Podcast run by Ulices Del Toro and leave him a 5-star review too. If you want to connect, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Wedding Photo Hangover or on Twitter at WedPic Hangover. Dustin, my man, who's currently being held hostage, is at Dustin_McKibben. Ulysses is at Bound by Beauty or Del Toro Photo. Which one do you prefer?
Let's go with Wedding Photo Podcast.
Wedding Photo Podcast. He doesn't want you to know about Bound by Beauty because he's being held hostage by all of beautiful desert California right now. Sorry, Brandon. I'm so sorry. I love California. I'm not going to lie. I would move out there in a heartbeat. Steven, that's me. I'm at Steven Van Elk. If you want to get involved with the awesome community of listeners, join the Wedding Hangover Facebook group. But if you really want to warm our hearts, head on over to SteveandDustinSaveTheWorld.com and you can sign up to support us for as little as $1 a month. It's extremely helpful to us and to the making of this podcast. And Dustin doesn't know this yet. And neither does Ulysses, I guess. I mean, technically. The first 5 episodes on the Patreon are now available to everybody who signs up at the $1 a month level. So if you just want to get a taste, you want to get that beak wet. You know what I'm talking about? You just want to get a little dip in that water bath. Is that what birds do in those things? A bird bath, yeah. You dipping in that bird bath, getting all that cocaine out. Steven Dustin Saves the World, $1 a month. You can see what it's all about. And if you like it, you can bump up to $5 a month. And if you hate it, you can cancel so fast. You can just... Ulysses, how easy is it to cancel? Ulysses signs up every month and then cancels before his credit card gets charged. So How easy is it to cancel?
I'm just excited that I'll finally be able to listen to one of your Patreon episodes.
Thank you, Ulysses. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time your head is pounding, your limbs feel like dead weight, and your entire being aches for the sweet embrace of death. That's right, next Sunday, after you shoot another wedding.
Another wedding.
Oh, you're going to go Dustin on me? You don't want to do a dun-dun-dun at the end of that?
Dun-dun-dun. Wedding.
Jeez. Oh gosh. I thought I was moving on up in this world.
Wedding.
Thought I was moving on up, but nope, stuck. Another Nacked wedding.
Another.
Have you ever been contacted to shoot a nacked wedding?
Bye.
Oh, you're done? You're done? Is that it? Wait, Ulysses, before we go real quick. What are you up to? What you been listening to? You got some good recommendations for us? Music, video, what's up? Podcast?
Music, video. Oh man.
What's Kim Kardashian, your best friend, up to?
Definitely go to Stephen Dustin Save the World. That's one of my favorite podcasts currently.
Aw, thank you so much.
No, when you were over, I've music-wise, I just discovered Mount Joy, and I've had them on repeat. They're pretty good. I love some
Dude, they're
good indie
dope.
folk.
They're real good.
Yeah, I can't stop listening to them. So I'm just trying to listen to them until I get completely sick of them. But that's really it. I only listen to that and your Patreon podcast episodes.
Well, can I give you a recommendation then?
Oh, please.
So this last week, people who've been listening to the podcast for a while and who actually still listen after like the whole readout thing at the end, I don't know. I can see on iTunes how many people turn off, and it's actually not very much. It's like maybe 5%. But recently on Script Notes, one of my favorite podcasts, it's Craig Mazin and John August. Craig Mazin being the guy who created Chernobyl, which a lot of our listeners actually like. I've seen in their Instagram stories on Facebook and stuff, they're sharing about it. I love Chernobyl. It's awesome. But people also know I love Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which recently just ended. Jen and I were going to go to New York to see like the live show, and then Jen went without me because we couldn't find a babysitter for our kids, But Script Notes, their last episode, they had Rachel Bloom, the co-creator of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and co-showrunner with Aline Brosh McKenna. And Rachel talked to Craig and John all about sex. It was crazy. So I wanted to follow up on that because like Jen and I did an entire episode of Wedded podcast that was called like The Truth About Sex. And oh my gosh, there's so much about sex Jen and I did not know that, Rachel and Craig and John talk about and share. And it was super, super good to hear because they talk a lot about the difference between like men and women in sex, and like there's just a lot that men don't know about women when it comes to sex, and super, super enlightening stuff. And it reminded me of like, there's a lot of talk about like 70% of women will never orgasm without direct clitoral stimulation. So that's like not penetration, but actual like stimulation of the clitoris. Yeah. How many listeners did I just lose when I said that?
Can you repeat that? I didn't quite hear it.
So it was super interesting to listen to because I know from talking to my wife, and we were both like raised in like super conservative Christian backgrounds. We waited till we were married to have sex, all that kind of stuff. And like we never had anybody who talked to us about that kind of stuff. Nobody ever said to us like, hey, when you get married, your wife might not, reach orgasm through, penetration. She might need something else. Nobody ever said, hey, the first time you have sex, it might hurt real bad. Stuff like that. And so this episode of Script Notes was just highly, highly great. As far as like all the things they talk about, all the myths that they kind of break and bust up. And, I was like riveted the whole time by it. It's typically like they talk a little bit about like things you might not have learned from TV because TV is only allowed to say so much. And Rachel talks a little bit about all the things they had to work around on her show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend because they wanted to be truthful and honest with stuff about sex. And it was a really good conversation. And, especially like if you've never had sex before, I would highly say like, I recommend this episode of Script Notes, and I'll include a link in the show notes to it for people who are interested.
Would you also recommend that Wedded podcast episode to people who had never had sex before?
Yes, especially to people who like Jen and I grew up in like super conservative Christian backgrounds. And once you listen to it, then you will have a completely different view of me and Jen too, but mostly of me. Whoa, I can't believe Steve shared the exact length in centimeters, millimeters of his penis. Wow. I didn't know he had such a tiny micro dick. Wow, so we're going to end the podcast there.
You and Jen should do a follow-up episode after listening to that podcast episode.
We should update it? Do an update? Is that what you're saying?
No,
you cut out for a little bit there.
No, do a follow-up episode on after listening to that podcast.
Yeah, definitely. So Ulysses and we're going to cut out now. Ulysses is going to join me for the Patreon episode, and we're going to follow up on some of the stuff we talked about last week on the Patreon. So...
Oh, God. We're going to talk
maybe
about
don't listen
that?
to that.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
we're going to talk about that.
All right, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. All right. Ulysses, bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks, and goodbye. I'm not going to shoot the dog.
Ulysses, look behind you. It's Eva.
Ulysses, no! Wedding Photo Hangover was edited this week by Steve Van Elk of Bespoke Tone. Go to Bespoke Tone for all of your photo, video, and audio editing needs. Woo-wee!